Hey guys, and welcome back to a very special episode of Draw with T. I've got here the completed full Sketchbook 32. You guys have been watching me fill this up in the previous episodes, and now I want to give you guys a little flip through of this guy. A couple things of note. I'm going to be kind of reading off a script here. I made a little list of ideas, of things I wanted to talk about, some of the pertaining to some of the works that I did in here. Another note, I'm recording this while I'm very super tired, and I'm doing the audio and the video at the same time, and I've been having a very, very hard time with my words. I find I keep switching them, saying the wrong one. I'm gonna try and catch myself, but if I don't, please be kind. I'm running on not enough sleep, and this is unfortunately the only time I have to record this. I have had a tradition of painting my sketchbook covers since Sketchbook 15. Now, you might notice on occasion I might say SK32 or SK something, or I'll write SK and then the number. That's just kind of my shorthand way of denoting which sketchbook and what number it is. So I have had 32 sketchbooks of this size. I've also had a couple small sketchbooks and some little ones that I made. So this numbering system only refers to these sort of 8.5 by 11, or I believe this is A4 sketchbooks. Each one, since Sketchbook 15, has had a special cover. Back in the day, they started off very simple, but as time has moved on, they've gotten quite a bit more complicated. As you can probably see here, this was originally just kind of a black sketchbook. In fact, it looked like this. You can kind of see the texturing, and I painted it up into this. And you can even see by the way it's smooth, that should probably tell you how many layers of paint that I had on it. This, of course, is gold leaf, and it's kind of faded a bit. It tends to do that, gets a bit tarnished, it loses a good chunk of its shine, but it's still shiny. So all my sketchbooks develop a personality beyond just the cover. I mean, my sketchbooks are basically a diary. They're like a little snapshot of that moment in my life. I tend, at least recently, I've been going through anywhere between 2 to 4 sketchbooks a year. Depends on how much sketching I do. I'm always pretty active in art. Some years just a bit more than others. This coming year, 2020, might be a light year. I might only fill 2, maybe 3, just because I'm focusing a bit more on writing. 2019 was full of drawing, so Sketchbook 32 has 4 sisters. Well, no, 3 sisters. She's the 4th one that I filled in 2019. So this is actually my first Arteza sketchbook. Previous to this, I always used Moleskines. I believe my first Moleskine sketchbook was Sketchbook 16, which actually wasn't an art book. It was just a plain paper book of this size, but it got the job done. And then from 17 onward, they were all your typical Moleskines of this size made for sketching, with the exception of Sketchbook 26, which is codename Black Sheep. It was the year of the sheep. I did it around my birthday. I'm a sheep, by the zodiac, I mean. And the only reason that one isn't a Moleskine was because Amazon, for some reason, just ran out, and I needed a sketchbook now because I was in college, and I was filling up these sketchbooks every 5 weeks. One of these every 5 weeks. So my final year, I think I finished 8. I'll have to do the math some other time. So I've always used Moleskine. I'm not a Moleskine lover, but I like hardcover sketchbooks. I prefer rounded corners, and I want them to be able to lay flat. I like having a ribbon. I like having a pouch. All of these things, as you can see, Arteza has, right? And that was the reason that I decided to give Arteza a try, because they offer a 2-pack, obviously of this size because this is one of them, for cheaper than if I got 2 Moleskines. I believe I worked out the math, and it's basically, you can, for the price of 3 Arteza sketchbooks, is about equivalent to 2 Moleskines. So in the long run, if I'm filling these up fast, Arteza makes more sense. A cheaper brand, and everything on paper makes them just sound better. There's more pages, it's 100% recycled, there's a better price. Most of the features of the Arteza I like more. So I like how Arteza puts the little information bubble here. Moleskine puts it here, right in the middle. As you can see with Arteza, it allowed me to fill this page with art. Arteza has a nice see-through plastic little folder thing here, so I can put something here and see what it is without having to take it out. Moleskine has a pouch that you access from this side, and it's paper, which, you know, it also works, but I really like this clear window because it came in handy when I kept my Copic marker swatch thing here, because I could literally just, if I was working on something, flip to it being there and look at it directly, or pull it out if I was working on something else. So, in theory, a very nice sketchbook. Another little detail I like about Arteza is you can see through the band here. And of course I have this set to manual. So let's just do this. So there you can see right through the band, which is great for somebody like me who likes to paint the sketchbooks, because sometimes these thick bands, you know, you just don't want a big old black strap, so that at least allows you to see something through it. It's just a point of visual interest. Okay, let's actually get on to the sketchbook review here. So this is the first page now. I know I said this is, you know, I don't want this to turn into a review, but I do just want to show you guys the one point that may result in me going back to Moleskine's, and that's the paper of Arteza. Arteza, if you happen to watch this, just want you guys to know that, like, I love the weight of the paper and everything, but when you work with pencils and stuff, you get a lot of this. And, I mean, this started happening basically days after I drew this, which is back in August, and it's held up okay, but I can open up Moleskine's from, like, you know, 5 years, I'd say, ago, or whenever, and they look pristine and fine. None of the pages smear unless they had a high smearing something on it, like Conte or charcoal, and that's just the nature of the medium. But in this case, basic pencil stuff smears. There's also just kind of a texturality to it that I personally don't like because I'm a cartoonist. I'm sure some people absolutely love that. I'm sure the toothy paper can be really nice. I'm personally not a fan of incredibly toothy paper, mainly because of the smearing problem. Texturally, I can kind of work with it, but in looking at some of my old Moleskines, I actually I loved how the paper looked and felt and everything, so much so that I'm debating about if I do go back to that. Okay, so what we're going to notice about Sketchbook 32 also is that it's at least starts off with a lot of actual sketches drawn on the actual paper, and you're probably thinking, well, Tegan, of course, that's what a sketchbook is, but not always. In my case, I started printing out work I would do digitally and putting them in my sketchbooks. And the reason I started doing that was I would have one sketchbook for like an entire year of college, and I would look back and be like, what happened? Why didn't I draw? I was in college. Why didn't I draw lots? And I would utterly forget everything that I had done until I would go into my computer and look at the files, and the files, of course, are everywhere. It's not just like this, right, where you can just open and flip through. No, you have to know what you're looking for to find it. So I kind of got this impression that I wasn't really drawing, even though I was. I just was doing a lot of digital work. And I have found that when I print things out, for example, like this, when I print things out, yeah, it takes up space, and technically I'm not getting to draw on this paper that I paid for, but, you know, for future me will always know that the reason that there's this massive gap is because I was working on this stuff, and it's also really cool to see because I wouldn't exactly go hunting down for stuff like that. So Sketchbook 32 starts off with a lot of traditional sketching. These are anatomy studies, and this is before that I started filming. So here, this isn't really worth talking too much about, but this is just basically a character design mind map. This is when I was going really in depth with all of my characters, and I stopped doing that because it took up a lot of time. But this is just a little mind map of Stormscreech, who I've talked about before, who's a hippogriff character in Casimir, my story, and I just, you know, laying out likes and, you know, like aspects of her. The idea being I would look at this and then draw from it, you know, little words or something would stick out of my head. This is another anatomy study. This was one I put off for a while because I was worried that I wouldn't be able to draw it in all of its complexity, but as it turned out, it actually didn't take too long. We've also got a back version of it here. And then some bird studies. This is all before I started shooting YouTube, but in case some of you guys were wondering why why the series just sort of starts with me just drawing this character, this is a bit of the prelude stuff that we didn't see. By the way, all the anatomy drawings you're going to see are from Michael Hampton's Figure Drawing and Invention. I think all of them anyways, I don't know. Again, here's some more sketches of Storm Screech, and I was basically just doing what I had done. Whoops, my lamp is falling down. Apologies for that. So I was basically doing, before YouTube, I was basically doing the exact thing that you saw me doing for most of the episodes. I was just kind of sketching Storm Screech, and this is where this was kind of coming in handy. Storm Screech is a character I knew pretty well, so I didn't really need that, but it was more of a practice exercise. And here I'm just exploring the character and what she could be. Here we get a couple little doodles. Some of my sketchbooks have a lot more pages like this. I don't know if you guys want to read this. I don't know if I want you to read this, but basically I've just put this in here. Like, this is just scrap that means nothing. This is some character doodle for something that I put in. There's some Pooh griffins because I was having a laugh with a friend. I usually only put these things in if they've got little doodles. I try not to throw out my art, even though, like, in hindsight, I guess I could have just cut this out, but I think there's some relevance here. Like, maybe this is the stats for this character. This is D&D stuff, and then around here I obviously did some kind of layout for something. I think I was doing some kind of spreadsheet. I may have shot a test video of me drawing this, or maybe I think what I did is I just drew these three because this page was already established. And that was just a quick drawing test to see if the camera even worked. This is the first page that I properly filmed in its entirety, and boy does it bring back memories. To be honest, I don't think I would have put as much time into this page had I not been drawing, and I just have to say, like, drawing while being filmed when you first do it is very, very, I don't know, not scary, but it put me on edge, and I was just very aware that I was being, you know, filmed and like, oh, I gotta rush this, but I gotta make it look good, and how do I do this? And because I normally will turn the page quite a bit, and I couldn't. Yeah, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was new to it. Again, here's episode 2, here's episode 3. Yeah, I was just, you know, more anatomy studies, more sketching Storm Screech. Of course, here was that rushed page I didn't like. Yeah, it's still pretty rushed. Gestures, that was what I used to do a lot before I started doing the anatomy studies, and I may probably go back to those. I do need to loosen up because I haven't drawn for a bit. Yes, and then here I was coming up with designs for the thumbnails, and these are what the thumbnails looked like. This is really what makes Sketchbook 32 unique and why she will always be unique. She's going to be the very first sketchbook that I ever filmed from about this point on. So about that much of the sketchbook is technically filmed. Technically not quite like page per page, because as I gave you a little sneak preview, a lot of the pages consist of like digital art. So, you know, those take up quite a few pages. But more or less, this sketchbook was entirely filmed, and no sketchbook previous can make any claims to that. I didn't film anything of me drawing ever before this sketchbook, so that's what makes it special. And if I continue to film episodes, this will always have been the first. Of course, we have some anatomal studies. Ooh, anatomals. It's like anatomy and animals. Sorry about that. I love this page, and I just want to thank you guys for watching my stuff. I know it's not really well done or very entertaining, but thanks to pointing a camera at me drawing, it's actually, at least for this period, it forced me to fill an entire page and fill it with good stuff, to actually push myself with each sketch. And I don't always do that, I'm sad to say. But I did here, and I definitely improved, and I learned some things, and only because I was making YouTube videos and a couple of you people, well, I mean, a couple people from around the world watch my stuff. So thank you guys. Again, we have some more anatomy. This is obviously the period where I was doing animal studies, and it was good fun. There's the cats, here's the horses. By the way, if you're new and tuning in, you can watch me draw basically every single page of this. You just hunt down the episodes. I do have a playlist. Here we have anatomy, we have horse hooves, we have this. Anytime I have like a little space, like obviously I printed these out, stuck them in, and then when I came to do this page, I have a rule. I don't like to leave blank spaces in my sketchbook, unless it's for effect. So I'll take a pen and I'll just doodle something. And they're often pretty cute. You can tell here 2 days later I did this. And then I don't know why I did that a few days later. I must have planned to sketch and then it got cancelled. But I'll do little things like this, and you're going to see a couple of them. And I just call these little guys salamanders. They're little characters from Callus. They're not really characters, they're just sort of a race. And they're really fun to draw. There was, I believe that's the page that I thought I hit record but didn't. More storm screech, more hippogriffs. I like to sketch a lot to really understand the figures, especially as a cartoonist. I need to be able to draw a single character from all angles hundreds of times over. So that's why I do this. It's also kind of the reason you don't see a lot of finished art from me is instead of painting something for 20 hours, I'll spend, you know, an hour filling a page times 20 pages, but no one really cracks open a sketchbook to look at it. I really love this page, by the way. And this one too. They're probably my favorite. I should probably scan these in and ink them and color them. I can get some nice easy art out of that. This is like a nice little section where I was really happy. I mean, these are just gestures, but I had a really good run. This was a good page. That was a good page. That was a good page. Good page. Good page. Good page. Really love this little salamander here. Yeah, just posting the thumbnails of channel art. This is an okay one. This is the gestures. Now this one is, oh, I really love this one. I should scan this and keep it as a file somewhere so I can access that and just look at how I drew that for myself. So then right when we get to this, a bunch of stuff changes. Everything before this, you know, just like YouTube stuff, drawings, sketches. This is where Christmas starts rolling around, and I need to make Christmas cards because every year I make Christmas cards. So everything from here is basically to do with Christmas. Other art basically stopped as I was working on 4 Christmas cards at once, which is a pretty big thing to do because I only ever really do 1 card a year, but this is the second year I was selling cards. The first year I just sort of repurposed some previous years into some bigger card sizes, and this was because that went so well, I decided to make some, you know, an actual group of cards that I could sell. Ironically, it ended up being a year where I only sold about half as much as I did last year, so I might not do it again next year because I now realize I think most of my clientele were just people who knew me, who wanted to support me, but when it comes to actually being a consistent customer, I don't think I can rely on them, and I'm not sure if next year is going to be any better, and I don't really know where to outsource it to, but you know, maybe I'll try my hand at marketing better. Anyways, we got Krampus thumbnails. Krampus art was really fun to do. I did for a while try to keep to doing the anatomy thing and drawing for myself. So, you know, here's the the latissimus page. You'll see very quickly as we get onward that it was just too much, and I had to, you know, pull it back for my own health. So I just decided to get the Christmas stuff done. Some Christmas stuff, thumbnails, going into the digital sphere now. This card was supposed to take no time to do. It ended up taking more time to do, but it was also finished before the other one, so it kind of evened out. This is one of my favorite cards. It's a very niche card, and I have still like nearly 100 of them. I probably should have ordered less, but I don't know. I guess I could be selling them for the next 50 years. I don't know if it's going to really go out of style. Here's the Krampus card. Basically, when I do my printouts, I basically, at the end of the day, whatever I've achieved, I'll print it out. The exception being, like, if I did all of these in a day, say I did that and then I inked it, I would include versions of that usually, unless I have loads. Like if I have 10 printouts, I'll maybe make them smaller, because I am trying to be economical with my sketchbooks. This, I believe, is the last spread of non-Christmas art until Christmas is done. This is me kind of still at the time pushing through, being like, no, I can do this, and I produced these 2 lovely pages of Griffin/Hippogriff armor, which I like, and I'm a bit sad that I didn't really see that the whole reason I was doing this through to the end, but I'm also not entirely upset that I kind of stopped, because I didn't want to spend all this time drawing this sort of intricate over-the-top thing when I could just draw a bunch of little things that take, less time. That's just kind of what I've been in the mood for of late. Back to Christmas, back to thumbnails, inking, color studies. It's basically, you're basically seeing my whole design process here. Not really much to say about them. They're Christmas cards. They're fun to do. I did do full-size printouts, so I could just see that the design was working. And here we go, Christmas is basically done, so I did another page of armor, and I think about then I was feeling pretty burned out from doing all of this. I remember specifically when I got these done, I think it was like December 1st, but to me it felt like December 25th, because I had just been working on Christmas and advertising Christmas, and everything was Christmas. It had been Christmas since October 27th in my head, so it basically felt like it was time for Christmas. This is just me designing the layout for my website to advertise my cards. This was work that I did for a custom card for somebody, and there we go. There was like a final ad that I did. I don't want to show you guys this because it's kind of personal. And I went to a little Christmas party and I got a name tag, and I'll stick stuff like this in my sketchbook because it's fun and it reminds me. I'll stick in tickets to theater things, and I'll write a little sentence or 2 about it because I'll forget where things fall in the timeline, and when I look through a sketchbook I'm like, oh, so that was the day I did this. Wow, and then I drew these 3 pages. Wow, that's amazing. I thought I wouldn't have done much after seeing a movie or something like that. Anyways, after all of that Christmas stuff that I did, like after all of this, I had the intentions of going back and seeing that Storm Screech character sheet through. Basically, it was going to be like Storm Screech front, Storm Screech back, just naked, and then her with like just a saddle and travel gear, and then her with like crappy armor, and then her with good armor. And that's a lot of drawing over one model, and a lot of repetitive art, and it would take a long time to do the concepts and everything, and I just wasn't feeling it at the time. After doing this, which is a big project, I just needed I needed a project that was basically just really simple, like this. This is where I started doing these portraits. You're going to be seeing some more of them, hopefully, unless something happens and derails me from finishing that, which it might. I just wanted to get back into drawing my characters, specifically Tristan and Yuzette, who are the 2 mains of Casimir, and I kind of felt like I'd forgotten how to draw humans, especially Tristan. I used to draw Tristan all the time, but it was kind of a bit ago, and I look at these and they're just not quite right. They're nearly there, but this one's okay. I did fix it up, but it did take a long time, so I think I might have to do some studies of Tristan. There's the final one. Here we got some more anatomy. This I'm not doing at the start of every drawing session just because I don't quite have that time anymore. Now I'm kind of doing it in between projects. So it's like do a portrait, do an anatomy page, do a portrait, do an anatomy page. So that's how I'm doing it right now. So you'll see a little less anatomy, at least for now. And here we have the early sketches for Yuzette leading up to her portrait. This, my goodness. Okay, so for Christmas I had a list of items, just some stuff, and I had told basically my parents that I offered them 2 sets of markers. You obviously see how the story ended. And I said, yeah, you know, you can either buy me this set of blues, or you can buy me this set of brush tip cheap pens. Don't feel you have to buy me both, honestly, just one set's probably all I need. Having blues is really nice, but you know, also having this many brush tips is more than enough that I can work with. I don't want too many markers right away because I'm not quite a marker artist. They bought me both, and so then I had to update my swatch chart, and basically I think I must have gotten like something like 100 markers, whatever. No, I got 92 markers, and I believe collectively before Christmas I had 80 markers, and I was like, wow, look at me, I've got 86, I think. I got 86 markers. I am set, but some of them were drying out, so I wanted like either this to kind of fill it out and replace, you know, have backups for things as they dried out, or have a range of blues because I use a lot of blues. I got both, which is not a bad thing, but it did mean I had to do this massive swatch thing, which took a lot of time, and nobody's ever gonna see it. Okay. And then here's the finished Uzette. For some reason I didn't print out like the sketch and the inking. I don't know why, I think I was just tired. Then I moved on to Humphrey, which is a character I've drawn Humphrey literally thousands of times. Literally thousands. I definitely minimum drew him 1,000 times for Humphrey's Baggage, and then there was times before that, so he's actually quite easy to draw, and he came very, very quickly, very easily, and I love how his portrait turned out. Then we got some more thumbnails and stuff here. I kind of just forgot that I was supposed to be printing them, so this is like a big old backlog, and I don't think I properly dated these. So I don't think I made this many, but I try to accurately date things. But for this, I was really burned out of just stuff. Took a little little break, and then I realized I didn't have much left in this, and I would have to start making another sketchbook. So I started doing thumbnails for Sketchbook 33. This here is just a little sample printout for my Casimir book, which I made and printed out. You can see it in my last vlog episode, and this was just me. I printed out a few of these. I didn't post them all in here though. This is just to show me that I was working on that, and this was just me making sure the type was readable, that it wasn't too big or too small, because I actually wanted it to be a readable book. I just kind of folded it in and taped it because I don't know. I wasn't really in a good mood for like putting things in properly that day. Here's some more thumbnails, and then some of the digital layouts that I was developing for Sketchbook 33. You can tell this is the second pass I did where it's nice and refined. There we go. So I had 89 markers. This is the old swatch book, swatch chart that I used to use, and I thought it was big. I thought it was a lot of markers that I had. Let me show you the new swatch. Yeah, so that's the current number of markers that I have, 187 markers. If you think that's wild, I actually have a friend offering me 100 Copic markers for about $300, and it's such a good deal, I might take her up on it, although I have so many markers and I'm not sure I use them all, so it's either going to be an excuse to use markers, or I might just have to pass on that, or be a hoarder, I don't know. So we're nearly at the end here. Here I was trying to redo my website. Basically every January I try to redo my website, and inexplicably something happens where I either can't or I don't. This was a can't year. I had ideas and I wanted to do some stuff, and I just had to drop it because I had so much that just suddenly came up on my plate. So this page I just quickly filled with scribbles because I wanted this page to be here. Pretty good scribbles, so I quite like that one. And this is something else that I do. I like to take little pictures of the progress of sketchbooks as they're made. I didn't do as many this time because I was filming it, and so I mean, of course, I was also painting this at like 3 a.m. every night, not getting much sleep, so I wasn't really energetic that I wanted to archive things on top of just trying to get the work done so I could sleep. But I did take a few pictures, but it's interesting how the pictures kind of seem, in a way, almost the word? Redundant. Pictures feel a bit redundant because I was filming it, because now I can see the film. Unfortunately, as I think I said, a lot of the footage near the end between like here and here and even like all of this got corrupted, and I'm not happy about that. Okay, there we go. This is actually a cutout I did to transfer these lines, and I just stuck it in here, and it has a nice, cool effect. This may seem weird. This is actually, this is old. This is from a year back, 2 years back. This is just some math and stuff on a leather working thing I made for my mom. First project I did, and it had some math that I needed. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to keep this in case for some reason I need to make another one of those, because, gosh, I'm going to hate myself if I had done the math and I threw it out. And this kind of didn't get finished, but you know what? I'm kind of okay with that. This is just me doing, figuring out stuff for my zines, which is, I talked about in my other episode. And that's kind of it. That's Sketchbook 32. So let's do a quick summary of the sketchbook. 32 was almost destined to be unique. Gosh, that sounds really dramatic, but she's kind of destined to be unique from the time that I painted her, just because she's very different from my other sketchbooks. I think I'll maybe do a video showing you guys the evolution of my sketchbook covers, if you'd like to see that. It'd be a very short video, but I'm unable to do that right now. Yeah, so it was almost like, because I just had a whim to paint something very different on my sketchbook, that it was like somehow predestined. She was gonna be different, and she became the one that got filmed, which is pretty cool. Also, she was unique because she's an Arteza sketchbook, not a Moleskine, so, just a very different book, kind of like turning over a new leaf is how I describe the sketchbook. But now we're going to be passing the reins over to Sketchbook 33. So shiny. So new and shiny. Alright guys, I hope you liked this little weird me talking too much as I went over my sketchbook. Let me know if you did. Let me know if you would like to see some flip-throughs of my other sketchbooks, and whether you want me to talk through my thoughts of or my rationale of what I was working on at the time, or if you just want me to play some music and be silent and just rapidly flip through some things. Obviously, I've got 32 I can go, or I have 31 more I can go through. Math. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good day, night, or evening, whenever you're watching this. Comment, like, and subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys in the next episode.